up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in. Today, Rumor sits down with special guest
Janae Jeffries, Vancouver, Washington.
Thank you for being a part of this, for even accepting this interview. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And so we're just going to jump right into it. This first segment is called Finish the Sentence. All right. I'm just going to give you 3 sentences. All you got to do is finish it. Okay. So the first one is, every time I look into the sky, I always think
Life.
I can't believe I actually blanked when I was younger.
Myself. Stayed myself. I can't believe I stayed myself.
Okay. Nice. And I'm always chosen first when it comes to.
I'm always chosen first when it comes to concept design.
Love it.
It's the first thing that popped up.
I love it. So how is it living in Washington?
It's all right. I like the blend of nature and city. Okay. But I haven't really explored the nature part exactly because I've just been working. But once I get my puppy, then I must explore
I got you.
the environments.
How long have you lived there?
Just since 2016.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so let's get some background information. And if I'm looking to the right, I just have notes over here. What's your background as a tattoo artist? What made you get started as a tattoo artist? How did you even get into the industry?
My apprenticeship was over a decade ago in LA. And my career path, I've always been artistry. Okay. So it was just, of course, it was just another medium to get into. I've always, even when I was a kid, I knew I was going to get a tattoo at some point. Wow. But I didn't really imagine exactly being a tattoo artist. I was mostly focused on being a concept designer. And so it was like, I figured, I think at the time I recall, my initial thought of it was like, oh, I'll do tattooing while I work on the concept design stuff. Wow. So, and I initially started looking for an apprenticeship while still in New York, and none ever came. And then when I moved back to LA, after a concept gig in China fell through, then I started looking for an apprenticeship there. And the place I ended up having my apprenticeship, I actually spoke with them a year before then, but I had to fly back to New York for school. So, okay. And I kind of saved them for last. I forgot why, but I was like looking around the city and no one would give me. So I was like, let me try back with this guy. Wow. So, and when I left there, I didn't want to be a scab and just work from home. So I focused on the illustration and concept design thing for about 10 years. Wow. And it's still one of my paths, but yeah, I moved up here specifically to open up my own space. And so after 2 years of looking, because all I have is my motorcycle. Okay. And that winter I moved up here was really, really snowy, apparently. And it's usually not that snowy. And I was like, oh, so I have to stay near where I am. Because I was looking farther away, but okay. So I think that helped expand my search for a space. So 2016 to 2019. So about 3 years. Wow. Sorry, it's hard to say. It's hard to pinpoint exactly because my whole life and career has just been art. Wow. So it's like, okay, so when did this one? It's like, it feels like there's no really start point. I got you. It's just goal markers that occurred. So it's probably always been there. So. Okay.
That's amazing. So in your opinion, since you started tattooing, how has the industry changed, do you think?
Um, that's another weird question to answer because so my apprenticeship, it was in the hood in LA, and my mentor was Hispanic, and my coworkers are Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize until I started looking for my space and started getting more serious into the community that I noticed the issues that of the whole race thing, the misogyny, and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn, really? And so in my apprenticeship, I wasn't exactly privy to any of that because I never had any contact with white tattooers.
I got you.
And I've only had like maybe two instances of because of my sex thing
Mm-hmm.
in my apprenticeship. One was with some very old school Mexican guy. Um, like he didn't want me to tattoo him because I was a woman, but he let me design it.
Wow.
And and even the person he came in with who was translating for him, she's like, "I'm so sorry." She's like,
Wow.
"He's really, really old school Mexican." And so, and this other um, one that was it was a black woman, but I think she thought I was too new, and so she let me design her tattoo, but she wouldn't let me tattoo her. But so that's like the only real negatives I can remember from
Okay.
them. So jump to when I finally got more into it, that's
Mm-hmm.
when I learned about the issues. And I was like, damn, really? So I don't think I can say
I
if
got you.
it's changed or not. I only know secondhand of
Okay.
certain things. Like I remember when I was looking for an apprenticeship, I met a lot of 20 plus year old vets
Mm-hmm.
and they were all nice. But they would like kind of recount how it was like hard back in the day for them. And so aside from that general fact, it seems,
Okay.
yeah, I don't really think I could really say how much it's changed.
Okay.
So even now, it feels like I'm both in it, but I'm also detached because
Mm-hmm.
it feels like I don't really engage like that. I do, of course, follow fellows on IG and
Mm-hmm.
chat with certain, but I think now that I think about it, I mostly chat with just fellow Black tattoo artists,
Mm-hmm.
and for the most part. But yeah, I can't really say.
I got you. I'm with you. I'm with you. It's all good. So, is there anything you would like to see more of in the industry, or you kind of just like, stay in your own lane and like, do your own thing?
um, yeah, I think I do mostly just stay just like mind my business
Mm-hmm.
because people can choose what they want from others.
Yes.
But I think it would be cool if freehand was more prevalent, like
Okay.
just drawing straight and not stencil. Just mainly because for my remaining tattoo plans, I want all of it to be drawn on.
That's amazing, though.
So,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
but I know it's not really common. Most people aren't comfortable, but I would like to see less Googling. I
Mm.
prefer, personally, I love seeing other people's own creative voice. So whenever I see that, I immediately like the person, and I try to stop myself because I know it still feels a bit rare to have people who just do it like me and others at the top of our dome and not
Yeah,
Google or anything.
that's amazing.
And yeah, I hope if that becomes more common
Mm-hmm.
and not so. Like, if it was like a half balance, like okay, fine, but it still feels a bit too uncommon. So if that was more common, I think it would be more beneficial
Okay.
for the industry because I can't stand seeing the same old.
I got
I hate cliche. Even though it's not my body, it's not my skin, I'm still like, the potential.
Yeah.
And like there are artists whose style I may not like, but I still respect their creative voice. So I'm
Mm.
like, I don't even care if I like the work, but I love that they have their own voice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if we could just have more of that, I think it would be cool.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
So
So do you have clients that specifically come to you just to freehand on them, or is that something you present to them?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that lately too, and how I think with the way my setup is,
Mhm.
it's almost like mandatory that if you come to me, then you expect me to just do my original thing. Because the way I present my business and stuff, I realize that's the clientele I'm attracting, and which is good.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm thinking because I be hearing these stories of people having these clients that come in with low hygiene and
I got
wanting this and that, but I haven't experienced any of that. And
okay.
I'm like, maybe it's because my space, one, it's private, and so maybe that instills within the person, oh, I have to be my best, or like I can't, like this person isn't around and they're
Right.
just my regular shop. So, but I'm not showing that just yet. It's just thoughts
Okay.
I've been mulling over. So, but yeah, I think I've been getting lucky, very lucky with my clientele, and that they
Nice.
all trust me and they see what I'm offering, and they come to me for that, and they don't demand like these multiple changes because
Okay.
I automatically like cut that out. So I'm like,
Uh,
nah, no images. Like we just talk and we explore ideas by sketch. So yeah, and so the more I like with each client, I'm more and more convinced. Like as long as you put out the energy you want to come in, then that's what you're gonna get.
yeah.
So like if you want clients to come to you for your own work, then you best put out your own work and not like so.
No, for sure. For sure. So do you have like this kind of this zone that you get into while you're tattooing? Like do you put on, headphones, or like what does that look like? What does that interaction look like with you and the client? Are you speaking to your client, or does it just depend?
um uh, it's funny you mentioned that too because I was thinking about that yesterday, and I saw one of the inked videos talking to the client. A lot of them was like, oh, they don't like it when clients talk or something like that. Talking about, so I'm like, why? Because for me, I don't mind if the client talks as long as it doesn't interrupt, the area I'm working on.
Okay.
Then they can talk. But yeah, for me, I suppose I get into a zone like I would with any of my other work.
Mhm.
And it's kind of because so for the past decade, I'm used to working fast on my feet, imaginative feet, so to speak. And so I'm used to background noise, but I'm still able to put it's like my mind compartmentalized.
Okay.
So it's like I'm working, but I'm also slightly aware of everything else, but it's mainly the work that I'm focused on. So I'm able to multitask in that way. As long as the client don't expect me to respond. Because I've noticed that when they do ask me questions, it takes me a while to respond. And I think because I'm just like in it, so when they
Yeah,
ask me, I'm like that takes me out when they ask me stuff.
I got you.
But I also don't mind that either because they don't do it too often.
Okay.
So I'm still able to like work, but I don't like making people wait.
Okay. I got you.
So I don't want them to think I'm ignoring them. So, but yeah, I think I'm pretty like I could if they want to speak, I speak, and sometimes even though I don't consider myself a talkative person. I can sometimes, I guess, be talkative,
Okay.
but it's mostly from their feedback. Like if they're quiet, then I'll be quiet.
I got
If
you.
they start talking or ask some kind of question, then I'll reply.
Okay.
But yeah, I want the client to feel at home.
Okay.
Well, not too at home, but comfortable.
Got you.
like a homey feel, like they could relax and just be themselves and just
Okay.
chill out. So that's my priority. And I adapt. I think part of it is that I could adapt well to things.
Mhm.
So, and like I mentioned, I'm used to background noise. Like
Okay.
beyond the pandemic, like I would usually be at like a cafe working on my other
Yeah.
art commissions. So I'm used to the background noise and stuff. So
Okay. Do you have any like client pet peeves, like things that you don't like? for clients to do?
Um,
Drive you crazy?
some of the things that apply with my other illustrative work applies to the tattooing, where I don't like when clients feel when they don't read my information, because I provide a lot of information in the site, and there's links everywhere to the FAQ, and so it is definitely a pet peeve when it's clear they didn't even try to read the information and they just ask me directly. I'm like, no, like I have the information there so that both of our times won't be wasted. So I
Right.
keep repeating myself, and I already have the information there. So, but part of that is like kind of like a test of the client. So like it lets me know like how much attention they pay
Yeah.
to things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, not reading the info is a definite pet peeve, and ignoring, like if a person was to send me a picture without asking first, that would annoy me. But thankfully that's rare. And those people I definitely don't expect them to like be an actual client. And
Okay.
and thankfully I don't think yeah, I don't think none of them are. Yeah, every time.
Okay.
But like of the rare times it happened, none of them became real clients. And and I don't like when folk ask about the money part initially. I think most of my pet peeves are from potential clients, really.
I got you.
Rather than actual clients. Because thankfully, like I mentioned before, the energy you put out is the energy you get.
Uh-huh.
So the energy I put my business out feels like it kind of regulates itself in terms of like the clients who actually come to me.
Mm.
So and I hate when people ask for, yeah, the rate. So I'm like, that's on the site. One, that's on the site. And two, it's like the priority shouldn't be the cost. Like you should know tattoos cost. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you should like look at how I run my thing. It's like, it's not common. So yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know my worth and I know what I bring. So
Love that.
even though I'm not quite at the rate that I think I'm actually worth, but
Mhm.
I'm like gradually working there. So,
Okay.
and another pet peeve of a potential client is when it feels like they don't believe me when I show them my work.
Really?
Like, I don't know if like in person pictures, what I've noticed. So for the first year, that was 2019. So I would, go do a lot of legwork of promoting. And it feels like the person, they wouldn't believe me in that the work, because I have my work on my business cards as well.
Okay.
And it feels like they don't believe the work because they always ask, "Oh, you did this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
did it."
Yeah.
And it feels like they expect, and even in person, I've had like booths in certain events,
Mm-hmm.
and even in person, they're like, "Oh, you did this," and it's like they expect someone else,
Wow.
and it feels like they expect me to be male and probably white.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
and one time I kind of slipped, like I was, I could feel it in my voice. Even it was like some black woman. She's like, "Oh, you did this." And I was like, "Yes," and I had to catch myself. I was like, "I'm sorry. It's just I get that a lot."
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
um,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure it's frustrating. I'm sure.
yeah, and I even made a shirt that says "I'm the artist." Like I haven't had a chance to wear it out yet, but I look forward to wearing it out. Just so I could point to the shirt. So I'm like, yes, I'm the artist and the owner. So, um, but it's funny that that seems to be a issue in art in general,
Mhm.
because there's my other art peers of the illustrative world, when they do cons for their comics and stuff. They too get people surprised that it's them, and their partner is usually is some like is their lover, their white guy or something. They look to them instead of them. Yeah, they look to them as the artist, but it's just their partner and
Wow.
rather than them. And they're both black, female representing. So it seems to be a thing.
Okay.
So that too made me be like, oh, right, that might be it. So it's unfortunate it's like that, but just got to deal with it, I guess.
I got you. I got you. What would you say is the most meaningful tattoo you've ever done?
Um, I can't really say.
Or
Um,
maybe just interaction with the client.
oh, I suppose there is one client who I haven't worked on yet, but that I felt a connection to.
Okay.
But they haven't booked their first session yet, but I did finish their design.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still at that stage. They just have to book their first session. So, but that was like, but that's like a pre thing. I just felt a connection from they too are from LA. And
Okay.
we had a lot of things in common.
Okay.
I believe. But in terms of actual tattoo, I can't really say. I do have my favorites. It's mostly the big pieces because I love big tattoos.
I got you.
So every new big piece I do, I'm like, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I got you.
So it changes because I like them big. And I look forward to even more big pieces down the line. So
Okay. Dope. Dope. So part of our mission is to promote the importance of self-love. Like, how would you say you promote self-love or even focus on yourself from time to time?
that's the issue I have trouble with all like for the past 12 years of my career. Like before the tattooing, before I opened with the illustration, I like calculated just how many pieces I did. So from a decade, I did 4,500 commissions, and only about 100 of them were for myself. And I realized that when I realized I was burnt out.
Wow.
And I don't even know how long I was burnt out, maybe a year or two before I finally acknowledged it. So since then, to prevent that from happening, I've now, because thankfully, 2020 was actually good for me, thankfully. So I just been taking things slow,
Okay.
like slower than I've ever taken.
Yeah.
So I'm still getting used to that. And so I think I'm on the verge of having enough time to do my own projects, like these comics I do, and try and make time to do them, but
Okay.
also balancing between just chilling out and not being a workaholic too. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
still like at the cusp of like organizing my time with that.
I
So
got
it still feels relaxed, thankfully. So I'm not too stressed about it, but it's still in the back of my head.
got you.
So um, so I really look forward to when I do get more used to the slowness, the
Okay.
in order to like really clock in the time for my comics. So, but what I really think will help is I plan to get a puppy. And I've been planning that since it's been on my to-do list. With me, it's been one of my life goals since 2016. So
Okay.
now I'm like one goal away from being ready. And that's like if the tattooing continues building and growing,
Yeah.
then I'll be ready for them in maybe hopefully a year and a half.
Oh,
And I hope the breeders I choose will have the puppies by then, or I'll be approved by then or something. But I'm hoping once I get the puppy, I'll actually have a real hobby
I got
of
you.
training the puppy. And I think I'll consider that my time away from that
Okay.
stuff. So till then, I kind of don't even understand what a hobby is because it's just art, work. So even the comics, I still consider that it's for me,
Mhm.
but it still feels like it's at least partially like work. I mean the career work. So, but yeah, once I get the puppy, I think that'll be the true activity that'll be away
No,
from
I,
work stuff.
I completely get it. I just got a GSP and he keeps me out of the house. Like he keeps
Oh,
me
that's
out in
cool.
nature. Like he just has a lot of energy. And so I get it. I get it. It's definitely another hobby, but it's fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I look forward. I'm actually just this week I started a new exercise because usually I work out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Mhm.
But I think the stress of the because 2019 was, even though that was my first year with tattooing, it was also a really trying year for the other business.
I got it.
And so, long story short, I was like, I spent most of that time just trying to manage not being stressed and not falling into old habits at the same time. So I think, and I wasn't able to like really go jogging like I usually do. I had to like do aerobics because I didn't have the running shoes.
I got you.
And I couldn't afford to get new ones. So I think, like, I'm not sure, that may have contributed. It feels like, because I still work out and I've still never missed a day,
Mhm.
but I'm still the same pen size I was when I started. But um, it's like, I guess I gained, but yeah. So basically, I'm just like, okay, I'm adding Tuesday and Thursday now too. So
Okay.
like, and I'm figured not only to hopefully lose the weight, but also in preparing for the puppy, because I
I got you.
like to wake up and mix it in with the going into the studio.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping to get used to that early
For
so
sure.
that I could be sure to walk them and take them, because I will have them at the studio with me too.
Okay.
And lately, I've been asking clients, "What do you feel about having like a baby pen on this side right here?" Because I figure I'll train them to make sure they know not to ever come into the work area and
Yeah.
have their own little area.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that
I love
too.
that. I love I love that.
'Cause I plan to have them with me for all the time.
All the time.
It's a dopamine. So
Oh, I want one.
yeah, I look forward to that part. Sorry, I got carried.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that puppy though.
I love how you're preparing for it. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I like planning ahead.
Mhm.
Because the goal before the puppy is getting an SUV, and
Okay.
that's mainly for the puppy, so I could go exploring with him.
Wow.
Because I love my motorcycle, but it's a hassle to get geared up, and it was stolen last August,
Oh.
temporarily. I got it back. It's actually right there.
Oh wow. That's nice.
So yeah, they cut the chains. I had it like a $200 chain, and
Mhm.
it took 2 days. But during the pandemic, I wasn't going anywhere, so I didn't even check my bike. So I
Wow.
didn't know it was stolen until Portland sent me a letter that it was towed.
Are you
So
serious?
apparently, yeah. So apparently, it took them 2 days. And sorry to get into it. The part is that I heard my alarm. Like, I was up late, and I
Oh.
swear I heard my alarm, but I didn't go down. And then when I saw it, I was like, "That's what the that was." So I like gave my space away, because there's no point in it if they were willing to cut through that $200 chain and stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I might as well keep it with me. So now, not only will it be a hassle to gear up, there'll be a hassle to take it down. I'm actually kind of used to it being up here. Like,
Okay.
I think 2 winters ago, I would keep it up.
Mhm.
So I got used to it, but it's still a hassle to take it out the apartment, down the elevator, and back up.
I bet.
So I'm looking forward to SUV too.
I got
So I could, I mean, I'm still keeping my bike, of course, but an SUV would be very useful.
Well, let me ask you this. How'd you get started with riding motorcycles? How'd you learn how to ride a motorcycle? If you don't.
Oh, that's just, I think, part of my blood. My dad, he was a motorcycle rider, and I didn't grow up with him, and he didn't really raise me. But he seemed like a cool guy though. But yeah, he was a writer, and my brother, he became a writer, and I didn't reconnect with him until I was in my teens. So it was just a natural thing for me to get into
You just
motorcycles.
got on it and it's just like, is
So
it,
I started with a dirt bike. My mom's boyfriend at the time, but he's now her husband.
mhm.
I guess I contribute learning from him,
Okay.
but really all he did was like tell me what things were and how to do the thing. And then I just practiced in the alleyway behind the house. And even on that first one, I was set because I started like gearing up even on that first run.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
like at that point, it was like, oh, I'm done.
Wow.
but yeah, but yeah, I've been writing for over a decade. So
Wow. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So you may have already answered this question when we talked about self-love, but do you ever, and let me know if this is too personal, but do you ever struggle mentally? And if so, like how do you overcome those mental struggles?
I don't think. Yeah, I've been that too is something I think about sometimes.
Mm,
Because I noticed how my artist peers of the other industry, illustrative comics and stuff, they seem to have this anxiety issues and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't have any of that. And they like talk about imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't have any. And it's not that, I don't think it's that, oh, it's not like about being perfect. No one's perfect. It's just, I think for me, it goes into how I see things.
okay.
So I feel like me, myself, I'm my world, right? And then you're your world, and everyone's like their own little world. So we interact, like our worlds may interact, but other than that, it's like ultimately our like someone else's world doesn't have anything to do with my world,
Mhm.
unless like their world is like infringing about someone else's existence. Then I feel obligated to help that other person's world. But yeah, it's just I feel life is about balance, and I guess I'm obsessed with dualism. And so to me, everything is about balance. And so if it's something bad, eventually something good will come up. It's
Mm.
like you just have to be patient. And if you have to work through this thing, eventually you won't have to work. So it's like things are temporary. So, well, most things are temporary. So and with the whole 2019 thing, like the financial thing of managing that stress, and I think that even further, because I consider myself a positive nihilist, and that to me it feels positive to know that nothing matters. That's
Yeah.
like the most simplest way I could put
Yeah.
it. Um, but like at the same time, it's like I both choose, yet a part of me don't choose to care about things. Like
Mm.
have certain things matter. It's like, yeah, there are some things I wish I didn't, but even those I welcome because I'm like, I'd rather have that than have nothing
Mm.
than be completely cold because I don't want to be cold. I want to feel things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just life. Like when things happen
Mhm.
and you just work through it. And like I don't want anyone to think like me, and I don't want like even the up people. It's like they have a place too. It's
Mhm.
like it's life. It's about balance.
I love it.
So
I love the way you think. I love it.
yeah, it is what it is.
Mhm. If people would just
Really.
keep it that simple, you're right. Like a lot that would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of people they just don't see it that way. Either they don't want to, or they like with communication. Like I feel straight communication is key to everything. And a lot of people claim they understand that, but they don't practice it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like people can't even get that simple um, fact of life. And so I can't expect them to get the dualism and stuff. Like
Mhm.
see how certain things are necessary for this and that and a balance. So um yeah, just take it a day at a time and
Mhm.
just enjoy things as they are and what I work towards. And that's why I like working towards things and like having these long term goals. Because once I achieve them, it's like, oh, it's bliss to know that I worked towards this thing and I achieved it.
Right.
Tattooing thing, even the concept art stuff and the comics. Like I may not have been with a studio, but I have over 100 different concepts people paid me for and people
Mhm.
like commissioned me for. It's like I've long since earned my title of concept artist. So it's not even like my whole career isn't conventional, even the tattooing.
I
So
got
yeah, it's just so I'm really so sometimes I like to think about all that and just be like, yeah, I'm doing well.
yeah.
So,
What would you say your long-term goals are?
traveling tattoo artist and working on my own comics and stories. And I don't really see the comics taking off like that
Mhm.
because they're all geared towards me. Like I'm the only audience I care about when it comes to my stories and comics. But I still want to put them out there, like 'cause there's so many issues with the stories that are out there. Like for example, like erotic comics and art. They're
Mhm.
always, if they do have humans in it, they're usually always white. Or if they do have a black character, then that black character is always with another white character. Like I rarely see black and black pairings,
Mhm.
so that irks me to no end. And I'm like, how do you not see them?
Yeah, for sure.
Like I rarely ever see. So I want to put more of that out there too. Like I want to do male black men, and then I want to do studs because I've never seen that one. And it's always like a femme and a butch person, female together. But I'm like, I've never seen stud and stud. So the stories I want to create. And then with the tattooing, I love traveling,
Mhm.
and I don't. Even to this day, I still don't see any place on earth as like a forever home to
Okay.
me. So, so that's why I plan to move back to LA in about 2 years. Like
Okay.
once I'm approved for the puppy, then I'm gonna put a word out that I'm moving back to LA in like 6 months to a year.
Okay.
And I'm only moving back because family and most people I have relationships with are there
Right.
here, and so and plus the black population. So one to spend time with them before I move. Well, I consider it like my HQ, like
Mhm.
a main place I'll be, but I don't want it to be in the States.
Okay.
So basically, I want to move out of the States. So it's like before then, let me spend some time in LA, and also to promote one of my tattooing styles that I hope to it picks up. So
Mhm.
I have my own illustrative, and I have what I call flow, and it just flows through the body because I hate the term tribal, so I call it flow.
Okay.
And I have a subset of that called Black M Flow. It's basically my take on what if Black Americans had our own heritage tattoo.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, what if? And it's basically, it's still a flows with the body, but it takes the universal elements you see within the African cultures, like circles and lines and
Yeah.
stuff. So not taking from anyone, since most of us Black Americans don't know where our ancestors exactly came from.
Mhm.
So those circles and lines would like tie us into Africa in Rome, but then to add our own flavor, it'll be like words hidden within the tattoo,
Ooh.
within the patterns.
Ooh.
So like black love or black power
Yeah.
or whatever phrase. So I figured out like tie in, and so I'm hoping to convince someone to go for that and then do
Yeah.
more of
That's
those.
super dope, man. I
But
love
up here, it's not too many black people up here. So,
it.
but I figured in
Get back to
LA,
LA.
yeah. So, that's another reason why I look forward to moving back. So to help to hopefully promote that tattooing aspect
Yeah,
more.
for sure. I think it's super dope. Super.
So I
So,
think that answered the question. I
yeah.
forgot. Okay.
Let me ask you this. What do you think the Black community needs to do to obtain wealth? Is that something you think about? Just being wealthy, or just being able to, provide for your family or for generations to come, or what's your take
Um,
on that?
I think because I don't believe we're not a monolith either, but I think honestly, I do think we already have wealth in ourselves. Most of us, anyway, not including Trump supporters, but like I feel Black America in general, a large portion of us do um, have wealth in ourselves and show pride in being Black American, like considering where our own ancestors come from and considering where our culture was born from. And like that will always be a part of us. The fact that we were literally born from like this horribleness.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another reason that I want to promote Black and Flow, because I want to highlight us as our own selves and not like try to pick like any meeny miny mo with the African cultures. It's like no, like we can be, of course we'll always be connected to Africa in general, but I think just to show more pride in our own culture and like uplift our own like I think we do, but I think most we still rely too heavily on the African part. Because like yeah, that's a part of us, but we aren't African. Like I hate the term African American because it don't make no sense when applied to Black Americans. Like there are African Americans, but we wasn't born in Africa. We most of us have no like lineage ties really to Africa, but we are Black American.
Mhm.
So I think in time, um, I think only when America loses more of its bullshit on upholding white supremacy and they how they like to claim they're not, but they clearly are. It's like first thing to acknowledge that period. Like more of America needs to acknowledge that. And I don't think that will happen anytime soon. But when that does, then I think Black Americans will be more in a place where we don't have to worry too much on the prejudices and the systematic bullshit that do weigh on us.
Mhm.
Because I think it is entirely tiring. And even though we are used to it, and I do think it does, like the pain of the past have rippled through into us, because I remember being a kid, and I swear I do not remember being taught what it was,
Mhm.
but I remember hearing it. But this one little kid, I think I was in second grade, he called me, but I knew somehow that from his mouth he wasn't Black. That from his mouth it was bad.
Mhm.
Like he shouldn't have said that to me. And so it's like in time, I think will be more at a level playing field. But I think those Black celebrities, I think some of them are working on that wealth thing. Um, so gradually, I think we're working towards that same like level playing field. So I think only just recently that may have just been started.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
um, so it's gradual. like,
Got you. I'm
uh,
with you completely.
we're not even close, but we're getting there. So,
Slowly but
yeah.
surely.
Sorry, that's a long explanation.
No, that was
I
beautiful.
think I went off on a tangent.
No, it was beautiful. Do you have any tips for any up and coming artists or people who are just thinking about becoming an artist?
You mean any I would recommend?
No, just like tips for anyone who,
Oh, tips.
yeah, tips for.
um, Honestly, it feels like anything I have to say, it's already been said at some point.
Okay.
And I guess the only thing I could say is to what you want to do with your crafts, that's what you should put out. And I know it's so hard to like want to take that risk because you see what is popular and you may not like that, but you might think, oh, maybe if I do this first, then maybe I'll go. No, that's a trick. That's a trap, really. Um, but I think some people they need to learn the hard way, like experience for themselves. So I wouldn't like say, oh, you have to do this, but everyone have their own path.
Right.
And I think everyone should embrace their own path. Like no one path is exactly the same.
Mm.
And one shouldn't look at someone else's path and think, oh, I'm gonna follow that. Like, no, you won't. You can only focus on your own path and how you get to it. Like for me, for example, none of my career paths have followed a traditional route. Like the way I became a concept artist or illustrator, and even a tattooist, tattoo artist, it's all off the books. It's all like it doesn't follow any of the traditional means.
Mm.
So I think if one just have to trust in themselves and trust in their own creative journey to get to where they want to be. And I think ultimately that is what will make someone successful. Just following, because I've noticed that people who try to appease the masses, some of them are able to, succeed, but a lot more they fall short and they reach a plateau where they can't surpass because they're too busy worrying about what other people think. And I think if they would just focus more on their own passions and push that out more, I think ultimately that will lead to success. They'll be more happier for it. Otherwise, like if they're the type where if they do follow other people's, try and follow the trends, then they're going to put themselves into a trap where they'll be stuck doing this thing they hate. And then that might even lead to them hating the entire
Mm.
craft that they're in. So, and it's hard. I know it's easy to say, just believe in yourself, but, and it's much, much harder to actually do because people can still believe in themselves, but they'll still think they have to follow. Like even I fell for that trap at
Mm.
certain points. So, but thankfully it wasn't too big, I suppose. But yeah, just gotta believe, gotta trust in your own creative visions and in your own passions, and that I think that ultimately will lead to success. So,
Great advice. Yeah, I haven't heard that one yet.
oh, that's
I'm
good.
more so here common things, but no, that was unique advice. That was unique. Do you like what kind of impact do you want to have on the Black community or just the tattoo industry itself?
I'd love to contribute more towards getting actually good tattoos for melanin because I can't stand bad tattoos. Period. But I especially can't stand it on melanin. So I'm like, man, there's no need for that. Like all that beautiful skin just wasted on this thing. And so I hope to help contribute to doing color on melanin and just more original works on melanin and then the black and flow. So yeah, I just want to contribute towards that, towards the artistry of it and how promoting how that should be a priority and not the cost of
Mm,
things.
right.
So, because I swear, the moment, like when I'm pitching to someone, if one of the first things they say is how much, I'm like, oh, you're not going to be my client, are you? So, if that's your priority,
I got it.
so yeah, I hope to contribute to the creative imaginary and for people to know that the typical shit they see isn't the end all be all to things, and that there are creative voices out there that should be explored, stuff. So that's
Okay.
what I hope to contribute to.
Love
But
it.
that's what I am contributing to, I should say.
Yeah,
So,
that's what you are for sure. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. Like, we truly appreciate it. I just want to thank you for your time.
thank you for having me.
For sure. All right. Thanks, Janae. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.